During a discussion with my neighbor, he mentioned that selling art it's so hard nowadays unless you're a prodigy.
Hey, how you doing? Well, I was speaking with my buddies over there, and they told me that selling art is pretty hard. You have to be some sort of crazy prodigy. Yours, anytime. Nice to see you.
Because I'm a good neighbor, I desperately needed to prove him wrong. So I went to have a stroll in the park, thinking, how can someone like me with no talent sell art? And then this wild dog saw me struggling and came out of the water to tell me something I will never forget. Sorry, what was that? Oh, I see. So after I paid him for the advice with bread, because nothing is free, I rushed back home and grabbed the tools I was gonna need. Here's my thinking. If I can make people find value in my art, it will make it sellable. How can I make something stand out? Just by doing the opposite of what's already out there. So the internet is full of these masterpieces everywhere, people doing ultra photorealism, insanely good abstracts. They're just tryhards everywhere. And I'm not gonna be able to compete with these guys who have been decades into art. So by staying true to my gut feeling, I came up with the idea of making shitty art. To be more specific, doodles of ducks. And hopefully, it will make someone laugh, which I believe it's enough to trigger a buy reaction. Or at least, that's what the duck told me. After coming up with the plan and looking up some extra motivation online, I picked up the last crumbs of willpower that I found I had left. I grabbed a pencil by its neck and laid it on a sheet of paper and started drawing. After what I felt like hours of non-stop drawing, this came out. I was like, yeah, this sucks ass. Even found out that dolphins have more sense of art. I wasn't expecting to be this bad at drawing. This was beyond shitty art, and I was afraid people wouldn't understand it. Or perhaps I'm just ahead of my time, who knows? Anyway, now that I know where I'm at with drawing, I wanted to raise my baseline a little bit so it goes from insanely bad art to make people feel that this was intentionally bad art. Just for the gag. And that if I wanted to, I could have made a masterpiece, even though that was obviously a lie. So for a challenge, I promised myself to finish this small sketchbook with just ducks, with the hope of getting just a bit better, and only after create one last drawing, which will be the one I will place in this frame and sell. So I got back to drawing ducks, and somehow this time I was able to draw a seagull with slick hair, a flamingo, and a duck. I guess it was just beginner's luck, but I wanted to commit to only one bird, so I started my first reference drawing, and this time it came out better than what I expected. Anyway, let's call it a day. For the next day, I woke up late and had to rush to work. I don't know why I decided to make this challenge at the beginning of the week, but it wasn't a totally wasted day. And during breaks, I was looking at ducks on my phone, trying to study their anatomy, really getting them in my mind. And that's when I realized the following: the S. I noticed the ducks have this S body shape, so I knew I had to get this right first. Also, the feet were hard to draw. Another day hit and I came out with these ducks. They might not look that impressive, but for me, it was a massive improvement. At least I was achieving consistency in my work. Now, even though I was getting better, people were still not interested in my drawings.
Yo, you wanna see my ducks? Oh.
So I felt it was because they didn't like the feet on my ducks. So I started to draw them with shoes in the meantime. I didn't want to waste too much time, so I moved on to the feet and grinded those until my hand couldn't draw anymore. And came out with this. I was hyped at the results. But after attempting to apply my new unlocked knowledge, I ran into another problem, which was perspective and proportions. For some reason, I could not draw the 2 feet together next to each other. I don't know, my brain just couldn't process it. And the only foot I could draw was so out of proportion. Horrible thing, my duck looked Like it never skipped a single leg day. Anyways, you know what they say. After doing a difficult task repeatedly and going to sleep, when you come back the next day, it will feel a lot easier. Well, we're gonna test that. So, good night. As soon as I got conscious, I rushed back to my workstation and sat in my chair confidently like I always do. I grabbed my pencil and created history. Or that's what I thought it was going to happen. Actually, it turned out to be one of my worst days ever. It felt like slipping on it somehow made it worse. My proportions were horrible. The body, the feet, everything felt like I was starting again from day one. So I thought, I know how a duck's body is supposed to look, and also how the feet are supposed to look, and I can draw them separately. So why on fucking earth can't I draw them together? So being enlightened isn't worth anything if you don't know how to apply your enlightenment. I was so close to quitting. I went like, alright brain, you want to draw ugly ducks? Let's draw the ugliest and most bizarre ducks I can come up with right now. And came up with these drawings that morning. I noticed that after allowing myself to purposely draw the ugliest I could, the pressure I felt that morning just dropped to zero like cryptocurrency. To be honest, I was kind of having fun. Now, just like a modern human being, I couldn't maintain my consistency for more than a week and got back to drawing a couple of days after, and that's alright. All I had to do was just finish one sketchbook. No deadlines, so the less pressure, the better. For now at least. I also liked how the duck bribing a police officer looked with the fountain pen, so I proceeded to finish undusting it. I bought this because I thought it was going to improve my handwriting or get me late when chicks saw me taking out a cool pen out of my pocket, but instead, I ended up lonelier and covered in ink. But now, a year later, I think I found a real purpose for this pen, so I'm gonna keep experimenting with it to see where it leads. So days passed by, and I kept drawing intermittently, and I was starting to feel that I was breaking away from only drawing from a single perspective, which was the side profile of a duck, which now I can actually draw from memory. But any other perspective, I was still heavily relying on reference photos. Other times, I will draw a bunch of ducks on a bigger piece of paper and tape it back into my small sketchbook. Then, one day, all of a sudden, I started realizing another thing. Something that felt like it was an important, if not the most important thing a drawing of any kind could have. And that was shadows. Of course, everything you see is composed of lights and shadows. It's what gives texture, color, and depth. So I knew that I needed to incorporate shadowing into my drawings. And after looking up some tutorials and practicing on bigger pieces of paper, I came up with these new drawings. They might still look like they were drawn by a blind guy as he was being described how a duck looked, but I felt I was finally breaking out of my plateau. Now, it was a new technique I had to grind, and it took me triple the time to draw a single duck now. More days passed, and I kept drawing every now and then, paying more attention to perspective and shadows, and some of the drawings came out, in my opinion, good for the amount of time I was dedicating to it. This one of a duck pointing is one of my favorites. It looks like it was a super sunny day and there were only harsh shadows on this duck. Some other drawings were kind of mid. This was supposed to be a duck on a hammock, but I guess I haven't unlocked those textures yet. This one was supposed to be a duck on fire, but it came out looking as if it was taken from Dragon Ball Z. Oh, this one in watercolor, I remember feeling so overconfident that day that I thought I could just translate my new skills to anything. But I got humbled down, as you can clearly see. I still love it and decided to glue it to the sketchbook. So the sketchbook is almost coming to an end. These are the last pages, which I actually really loved. I totally despised the first 90% of the book, but absolutely loved the last 10% of it. You, a normal looking duck, versus the duck she says not to worry about. I was very proud of the shadowing on this one. And for the last page, I went for a duck inspired in the movie Starship Troopers. Okay, enough of my progress. And now, It was time to sell some art. And this is how an inexperienced guy like me would approach it. Draw something, place it in a frame, post it on any sort of marketplace online, and just wait. If that doesn't work, I'll probably do door-to-door selling. So I went through my sketchbook one last time and finally decided what my first masterpiece will be, and got straight into it. It took me a couple of sketches, tons of failed attempts, angers, self-doubt, euphoria, energy rush, to finally achieve what will be my first masterpiece ever. Ten seconds after contemplating what I've created, I went straight to post it on the internet to all the marketplaces I could find. I guess it's just a waiting game from now on. I realized I don't want to deal with shipping. I'm actually just gonna post it on Facebook Marketplace. I live in a huge city, and just within my neighborhood alone, I bet there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but I feel like that's plenty of eyeballs to eventually sell this thing. So my post, it's been up for 5 days, received this amount of clicks, this amount of favorites, and yeah, these people saw it and went, heck yeah, and saved it. Then this guy messaged me saying his partner will love it, but after I told him where I'm located, he ghosted me. I waited a couple more days and still nothing. Just more clicks and people asking if it's still available, but they too disappeared. But then this guy came along to save the day. He said he was interested. I replied, and just when I thought he was just another guy who was about to disappear, he actually came back with, I was hyped, I couldn't believe it. So the day of the exchange came, but I had to work that morning. So I had to send my brother to meet up with the guy. I told him to record the exchange, which he did poorly. But hey, here's all the sound and footage I managed to get.
Hey brother, how you doing? How you doing?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, brother. So
How you doing?
this is the piece.
Perfect. It
found
spoke
it.
to me.
It
I just sent you the money.
Yeah?
Yeah. Music-related art, and a lot of it is like funk stuff. So
Yeah? Yeah, that goes. And we were like, maybe a bar would like it, but I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're just on Facebook.
They found a good home. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that.
All right. Hey, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah,
Have a
nice
good
to
one.
meet you. You too.
And there you have it. The sell is done. I achieved the whole point of this video. For those who kept messaging me, asking if it was available, I've drawn another one and made some prints. I'm gonna see if I can sell those again through Marketplace. I'll let you guys know how that goes. Hey, it's me from the future. Just wanted to add that it's still hard to make a living unless you get your artist name out there, build trust, and then maybe it can work out. Now, logistics and making time for physical sales will greatly destroy your routine. So I'll try to see if I can do something with this to make online sales, which it can change everything, time and profit wise. But hey, I made a profit. So that's the point of this video. Not clickbait, but it's obviously not enough to buy more than probably an extra large pizza. Okay, back to the video. Wrapping up, this experience has really taught me the value of authenticity in art. I didn't sell a piece because it was a hyper-realistic masterpiece. There are plenty of artists who excel at that. I sold it because it was uniquely mine. So it's a reminder that when you create from a place of truth and enjoyment, your work resonates. Remember, no one else can do it quite like you. Share this with your friends who think they're bad at art.